I asked a man one time, "What are your goals for this month?" And he said, "If I could just scrape up enough money to pay these lousy bills." That was his goal. Hey, I'm not saying it isn't a goal. It is, but it's such a poor goal. It certainly isn't inspiring. You don't jump out of bed on Monday morning and say, "Oh boy, another chance to go out and scrape up the money to pay these lousy bills." The point is that goals should be fun. They should be big, challenging, rewarding. They should allow you to grow. Remember too, that the major purpose of having a goal is not just to acquire the goal. The major reason for setting goals is to compel yourself to become the person it takes to achieve them. In other words, attaining the goal is of secondary importance. What's far more important is what you become in the pursuit of it. The greatest value in becoming a millionaire, for example, is not the $1 million. The greatest value is the skills, the knowledge, the discipline, and the leadership qualities you acquired in becoming a millionaire. It's the experience you acquired in planning, development, strategy. It's other qualities you acquired, such as courage, commitment, and willpower, to attract $1 million. You could lose everything you attained, but you could not lose the skills, knowledge, and experience you have obtained. Even better than having is being. Here's a most important question to spend some time answering. What kind of person will I have to become to get all I want? Write down a few thoughts on that. Write down some skills you'll have to develop, for example, and some of the things you're going to have to learn. Just spend a little time writing a few sentences on this. What kind of person will I have to become to get all I want? The answer to this will give you some personal development goals. Remember that income does not far exceed personal development. All of us have to do this kind of self-examination. I have to look at my own life and say, well, here's what I want, but am I willing to become what it takes to get what I want? If I'm too lazy, if I don't want to learn, read, study, and grow to become that kind of person, then I cannot attract what I want. Now, either I have to change my wants or I have to change myself. Here are a few more key points I'd like to share with you on goals and designing your future. First, if you don't right now feel as if you're equipped to get all you want, just remember, ability will grow to match your strong dreams. That's why the goal-setting process we've discussed is so important. The more you work on this, the more ideas you will get on how you can change, how you can grow. I am nowhere near the person I was when I met Mr. Shope 25 years ago. I'm not that person anymore. I've changed. There's nothing you can do about the past, but you can do a great deal about your future. You don't have to be the same person you were yesterday. You can make changes in your life, absolutely startling changes, in a fairly short period of time. You can make changes you can't even conceive of now. If you give yourself a chance, your abilities will grow. You have untapped talents and potential that you haven't even reached for yet. And as time goes on, you'll be able to reach deeper and deeper. The first thing you'll know, you'll be able to do things you never thought you could do. You'll be able to handle things you never thought you could handle. You'll have ideas that you've never had before. All of this is sparked by the goal-setting process. When you know what you want, and you want it badly enough, the answers will come to you. I can't tell you why it worked. All I know is it worked.
If you can become a person and engage others, you will now become an extraordinary leader, not a mediocre or good one. As far as I'm concerned, good is the enemy of great. Corny as it sounds. So think about it. I'll give you an example of this book that I did. I did this book because back in 2008, I felt like I was back in my childhood. Everybody around me was suffering. And I hate suffering. Most of the skills I developed is because I want to take somebody else suffering and take them to a place where they have joy and aliveness and health and vitality and abundance or whatever I can do to help. And so I've got the guy that cuts my hair, my barber, is like, his kid can't go to college. He's lost half what he's got to do. A billionaire client of mine is no longer a billionaire. And he's feeling equally bad, he thinks, but suffering is suffering in somebody's mind, right? And so I thought to myself, something's got to be done. And like most of us, somebody's going to do something. In 2010, when things actually got worse and the system wasn't changed, I started reading everything I could read, started watching everything I could watch, and I watched a documentary called Inside Job. Anybody here see Inside Job? If you didn't see it, was Matt Damon did the documentary on it, and it won the Academy Award. And it actually walked through systematically and showed how the entire world economic experience, our entire economy as a world, was almost destroyed by a few people, and they identified who they were, how they did it, they documented it all, and then they showed what happened to them. And what happened to them, does anybody know? No, not nothing. Nothing would have been a reward compared to what they should have got. They were actually put in charge of the turnaround. And they were given your money and mine. We were taxed so they could put their money back where it belonged. So at the end of this film, depending upon your personality, if you haven't seen it, I should warn you, you'll have one or two reactions. You'll either be very depressed or very pissed. I was on the piss side. I was so angry and I thought to myself, nothing's been done. This is insane. And something's got to be done. I thought, everybody says something can be done, but what can I do? And I thought, you know what? I've got access. For 21 years, most people think I'm a happy, bouncing around, positive thinking, screaming guy on an infomercial from 20 years ago, but I have continued to grow, not taller, hopefully. But in all that time, for 21 years, I've coached Paul Tudor Jones, who's one of the top 10 financial traders in the history of the world. He's a man who's made more money than almost anyone on earth, along with George Soros and a few other names you may know. But Paul's really unique in that Paul found himself in a position that in 1987, when the stock market crashed, the largest percentage in a day still to this day, he made 20% when the whole world was losing everything. He made 200% that year for his client. Just unbelievable. And then it was like the guy that walked on the moon. What do you do after you walk on the moon? You see that, you look at that incredible view of the earth. It's you seeing it on a photograph. You come back to the earth. You shake the president's hand. You have a ticker tape parade. Now what do? And a lot of those astronauts, if you know the story, actually became depressed because they didn't have what I call a compelling future, something to look forward to. So Paul had a little fall back and I was called in to turn him around. Came in and started studying everybody around him, figured out what it took to do it and built a strategy to put him back in state. He's been successful and made money every year for 21 straight years. Every single year. There's no one in his class that's done that. No one. Pretty amazing. I was with him to give example. We were together and back, if you remember, in the tech bubble of 2000, it blew up. Paul made money. Right by him, side by side. Every single day. He's emailing me every single day. I'm talking in some ways, communicating, or I'm going to see him every 3 or 4 months to be there in person to make sure we keep tweaking the system. I'm not there to be a positive thinking coach. You didn't need that crap. I'm a prepare for anything coach. How do we figure out the strategy? I've always been a strategist. I've never believed in positive thinking. I never told people you should go to your gym or go to your garden, better yet, and chant, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. I'm like, here's the weed, let's pull it out. That's what I do with him. 21 years. 21 years includes 9/11, when the whole markets are blowing up, making money. 21 years includes everything we saw in the subprime crisis, making money. It includes when we all went through the dropping gold, those are associated to it not long ago. So I've been there with all those pieces, and I got a chance to learn from this guy side by side, and I've been able to contribute to him in a significant way.
You'd be shocked how many ministers crumble because they don't have support and secretly want to get out of the ministry and are secretly burned out and are secretly tired and their marriages are in jeopardy and their minds are perplexed because they're doing too much. Leaders, if you are doing anything in your church that somebody else could do, you shouldn't be doing it. Good leadership is working yourself out of a job. And if you are busy doing stuff that somebody else could do, then you're a control freak. And you need to give up control and allocate that over to somebody that you can trust so that you can reserve yourself for your highest and best use. I want you to ask yourself a question every time you take an assignment as a leader. Is this my highest and best use? Or am I busy doing something that somebody under me could do? If somebody on your team could do it, you shouldn't be doing it. Because as you go and as you grow, you must reserve yourself for your highest and best use. And if you will relinquish your need to control everything, you will create a place for somebody to serve and alleviate your stress and be better at your highest and best use when you are not distracted by the trivia of doing things that God has called somebody else to do. Elijah comes along and he runs behind Elijah and he says, wait a minute, man, your hands look dusty. Let me pour water on your hands. And Elijah said, in all the time I was calling down fire from heaven, not one person on Mount Carmel ever did that. Nobody helps me be me. And so we've called you to this meeting today because it's not just the people who I had stand that are important. It's the people who are sitting. Because if you don't pour water on the hands of the people who stand, they may not be here next year. And they will be talked about and they will be ostracized, but they died for the lack of you. Their arms got heavy for the lack of you. Their marriages suffered because they were busy doing things that the church said somebody else could do, and they got the divorce for the lack of you. Because there was nobody close to them who urged them to take a vacation, not just going to another conference. A real vacation does not have seminars. I took a bunch of my partners on a cruise, we flew out from here. We flew up to here and went on an Alaskan cruise, and all that week we were on the cruise, my wife and I. When you're on a cruise with your partners and stuff, you can't leave your room with it. The moment you come out the door, there's cameras flashing and people coming up to you and wanting prayer and wanting to discuss scriptures and stuff, so you're kind of in your room like a hostage. When you come out the room, it's like, and they come up and they do whatever it is they want to do, and they say, we hate to bother you on your vacation. vacation. I looked at the letter. I said, this is not our vacation. This is not our vacation, because if it was, you wouldn't be here.